Good morning, welcome to the Hamakua Homestead. My name is Tiffany, and here on this channel, I'm taking you along for all of the adventures here on the ranch. Today is a bonus day off of work for me, so what are you gonna do? Pressure can. So I have been researching different ways to deal with this pork butt that I have in my freezer, and I need to clear out room in my freezer because we have a full bowl in the reefer and it's going to need freezer space. So my sweetheart gave me the idea of doing chili Verde pork. And so I'd done some research, looked up some videos, and just got back from the store. So I'm gonna go ahead, get our groceries put away, and I'll take you along to show you this awesome recipe. Okay, so the first step, we are going to start in on our tomatillos. This is my very first time cooking with tomatillos. So it's kind of interesting. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and take the husk off. I suppose you would call it a husk. Take that off. I'm going to slice them in half, put them out on my baking sheets, and we're going to roast them. I'm also gonna go ahead and roast our peppers as well. I just feel like it'll bring us a better flavor. I have Anaheim peppers, which are pretty sizable, and jalapeno peppers. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these all chopped up and put them on the baking sheets, and we'll get them in the oven to roast. Okay, so we have our tomatillos all cut into halves. I'm gonna go ahead and get these roasting, but I'm going to drizzle some avocado oil on here just for fun. Might have been too much. Let's pop them in the oven. So one thing I do want to mention real quick, I want to make sure to give credit where it's due. I'm getting this recipe from the Pratt Family Homestead. I watched a video that he did just this morning, actually, before I went to the grocery store. He said that he got this recipe from cookingmadly.com, and I tried to click on his link that he had, and I tried to find that website, but it was no longer active, so I wasn't able to pull that up for myself. But I went ahead and went to the YouTube video from the Pratt Family Homestead and did a screenshot of the ingredients list that he had put up on the screen. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of where I'm getting this, and he says it is phenomenal, so I hope we all like it just as much as he did. I will link that video below. I'm gonna leave my chunks a little bit on the bigger side. And I'm not gonna go any bigger than this one right here. A lot of people will like to remove as much of this fat as possible. They're not fans of fat. We are fans here in this house, so I'm gonna cut that one too. So I'm gonna go ahead and just leave it all on there. This is a store-bought pork butt. It was on sale for $1 something a pound. So I grabbed 2 of them. They were each about 18 pounds a piece. So they're pretty big. There is a bone inside right here, but it's not very much. Most of this is all meat. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all cut up into cubes. One of our trays of tomatillos is roasted, looks delicious. I'm gonna go ahead and get this put away into a container. In the end, we are going to blend this all together in the blender. So I'm just gonna put it away for now. So all of our tomatillos are out of the oven. I just put in all of our peppers. There's about 8 Anaheims, roughly, and about 8 or 10 pretty decent sized jalapenos. And those are going to roast till they get to right about this point, nice and a little bit blackened. Get that flavor going on. Okay, our peppers are needing to be flipped. They're starting to bubble. I'm just going to give them just a quick turnabout. Now, I roasted the tomatillos at 425 degrees. These peppers I decided to go ahead and put on broil, but I am going to go ahead and drizzle a little oil on top. Okay, back into the broiler. So while our peppers are roasting away in the oven, I'm gonna go ahead and brown the pork. We're not gonna cook it through all the way, we're just gonna get it kind of cooked a little bit so it holds its structure a little bit better in the jars. I'm not gonna add any cooking oil because there's already a lot of fat in here. Okay, so our pork is cooked, not really, but now it is time to go ahead and put our tomatillos and our roasted peppers into the blender. Interesting flavor, I like it. Now with the jalapenos and the Anaheims, I think if I just, ooh, they're hot, pull that off into the blender. That's what I'm gonna do. Ooh, hot. I'm not de-seeding these at all. Anaheims are, I believe, I could be mistaken, I don't think they're very hot pepper. Even if it does turn out to be hot, that's okay. I was asked to make a spicy pork, so it'll be just fine. I believe this is also more peppers than the recipe calls for, but I also have a lot more pork. So I just kind of eyeballed the portions according to how much pork I needed to can. Hot, 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 hot. Hot. Ooh, this smells so good, you guys. It smells so good. That looks amazing. Looks so good. Check that out. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and add our dried spices at this time, just because it's easy to mix it up at this stage, so why not? The recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of dried cilantro, but I'm going to do double that, maybe a little bit more. About half. Same thing with the dried cumin. It says 2 tablespoons. I'm gonna do 4, maybe a little bit more. That smells so good. Says we need to have 1 tablespoon of dried coriander. The store I went to this morning didn't have any, so I ended up Googling a good alternative, and it said dried tarragon leaves. So we're gonna go with that one. Plus a little more. Right. recipe says 1 tablespoon salt, so I'm gonna go with 2. I have a tendency of over salting things. My sweetheart and my son don't necessarily like things as salty as I do, so I try to take it easy on that. They can always add more if they want. Same thing applies for pepper in this house. I go overboard, so I'm going to stick with the 2 tablespoons for a double batch. Black table pepper. The salt I used was the pink Himalayan salt. Smells so good. Okay, I forgot to cut up my onions, so I'm gonna do that real quick. I got our onions all chopped up. I left them a bit on the larger side, but I'm fine with that. I am just browning them. I'm just browning them in some homegrown, home harvested beef tallow. I'm excited about that. Gonna let that cook off for a little bit. Here we are with our onions. They are cooked down enough for my liking. So I'm going to go ahead and add our blended peppers and tomatillos. I know in the video that I'm going according to, he put the jalapenos and fresh garlic in here with this and then blended it all together. So that's one way I'm going away from the recipe. But I have a tendency to do that anyway. Okay, so we've got our onions. They are cooked down enough for my liking. And the next thing we gotta add is chicken stock. This is bone broth. There we go. How's that? Woo. Okay. That looks amazing. Now we're gonna add our blender full of goodies. Another thing I'm doing differently than the video is he added all of this right into the same container as the pork. I don't have a container big enough for that, so I'm just doing what I can. Okay, I've got a little over half a cup of white vinegar. and a cup of white wine. Okay, it's getting a little bit more liquidy now, which is what we need for the pressure canning process. It can't be too thick, otherwise the heat won't be able to penetrate all the way through the jar. So this consistency is starting to look nice. We can always thicken it with a roux or with other means after we open the jars to eat it. But I think this will be liquidy enough. Oh my gosh, there's so much flavor in here. Oh, I'm so excited. You could drink that with a straw. So that's it for right now. I'm gonna go ahead and let this just sit here and meld all together with its vinegar and its wine. And I'm going to get our jars ready for our canning process. Okay, so I've decided I'm going to go ahead and do this in pints because I have a feeling that people will mostly use them for single person meals. So I'm gonna start jarring them up. The other part about this is I think that I left my pork pieces a little bit too large. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut them as I put them into the jars. I'm gonna fill them up about halfway with the meat and then the other half with the sauce. Okay, so we have 22 pint jars filled up with our pork. They are all roughly about halfway. I'm gonna go ahead and start ladling in the good stuff. That's a little too much. I'm gonna have to take some out. This is supposed to be at 1 inch headspace. That's looking pretty good. We wanna make sure that we debubble. We don't want any air pockets trapped underneath all that pork. We're going to clean our rims. Make sure there's no salt or seasonings, flavorings, anything that's going to interfere with a good seal. We have our 1 inch headspace, fingertip tight, into the canner they go. Air bubbles out. again, too much. Clean our rim. Put on our lid into the canner. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and continue that same exact process for the other 20 jars, and I'll bring you back when it's time. Okay, you guys, there has been a severe disappointment. I ran out of sauce. I have these 7 jars of pork left. So I am going to have to come up with an emergency, very, very fast recipe. Let's see what I come up with. Because I am not about to run this gigantic canner half full. It's just not happening. It's not worth the propane. So I'm gonna come up with something creative. Garlic powder. Onion powder. Organic curry powder. Organic curry powder. Filled up, hot as can be. Gotta put our lid on. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and let our pressure canner come up to a full steam out of the steam vent right here, and then we're going to let it steam for a full 10 minutes before we put our weight on, and I am at 15 pounds at my elevation. Okay guys, our pressure canner has been going for the full 75 minutes because we're doing pints. I'm going to go ahead and bust it open and see what we come up with. Didn't your mother ever tell you not to cross your eyes? You might get stuck that way.
No, she's not.
Okay, we have our jars pulled out of our pressure canner. They are all laid out. They're going to sit here for roughly 24 hours and we will see how they all seal. I know I have 2 that have not sealed, which I'm pretty bummed about. Don't know what happened there, but life happens. They'll go in the fridge and they will get eaten. So I'm not too worried about it, but I'm definitely curious as to why they didn't seal anyway. Thank you for joining me on the Hamakua Homestead. I really appreciate your company, and if you enjoy videos like this, hit that like and subscribe button, and we will see you again soon.